sides of a story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Both sides of a story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Hour 106.
Team meeting a goodly lot. Picnic, dance, and warranot. Cure white nyan's and plenty fat. When Christmas come round. Winds go tearing overhead, whistling shriller than Mass Ned. Make you keep a tight in bed. When Christmas come round. Breaking up over the school. Fine for them who hate the rule. Now them head and heel we cool. For Christmas come round. And the leaf from mancha trees fly reckless over the peas, like sense a fowl in a breeze, when Christmas come round. Drinking rum and never tap, just down at the village shop. Some get kick and some get chop, hellish lot of fun. Pon the mountain come down fog, can neither see tree nor crag. Season rain make the pass bog, when Christmas come round. Gambling if 'tis to your taste, at the devil or horse race, Billy's Colt taking first place, pon the big race ground. Killing off old beauty calf, hard pay folks fi trussy off, when them nyammy, then them laugh. And you needn't done. I will bet you 8 crown country Christmas beat out town. In this pan, we'll put it down till Christmas come round.
We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day. So run and come to see your son. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleep you'll never meet at Christmas Day. The beaches are nice, much nicer than ice. The rum is still fine, and so is the wine. So run and come to see your son. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleep will never be at Christmas Day. So come one and all, and let's have a ball. Jamaicans you see, at Christmas love free. So run and come to see your son. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. Run and come to see your son. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day.
Class is in session. Power 106.
We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh. What fun we do.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. And when it comes to keeping you connected to them, Grace Kennedy Money Services Western Union makes it safer and easier. Now friends and family overseas can use the Western Union app or westernunion.com to send money directly to your bank account without leaving home. Receive a Western Union money transfer directly into your bank account with a direct-to-bank service. Register online at gkmsonline.com and share your banking details with your sender so you don't have to leave home to collect.
So come one and all, and let's have a ball. Jamaicans, you see, at Christmas love free. So run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. Run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day.
2021 to 2030 is the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and the Decade of Action for Road Safety. It's the second day of the 12th and final month of 2021, the International Year of Peace and Trust, the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables, the International Year for the Elimination of Child Labor, and the International Year of Health and Care Workers. Put another way, it's the end, 2 days after the end, just about 2 days after the end of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. And here is a reminder that next year, the Atlantic hurricane season will begin on the 1st of May. As of the 1st of May next year, that's when the hurricane season will begin. In terms of the other observances are concerned, it's a national day in Kyrgyzstan and the United Arab Emirates, National Higher Education Day in Myanmar, Burma, Republic Day in Laos, and Disabilities Awareness Week activities continue here in Jamaica. It's International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. Hoy es jueves el 2 de diciembre 2021 Y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos.
You'll never meet at Christmas Day.
C'est jeudi le 2 décembre 2021 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service pour une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue.
We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day. So run and come to see and sun, it's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. The beaches are nice, much nicer than ice. The rum is still fine, and so is the wine. So run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day.
All we're saying is it's Thursday, the 2nd of December, 2021, and we greet you well. Wherever in the world you are listening to us right now, we remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never, ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day.
It's the 336th day of 2021, which means we are 29 days away from 2022. And for those who celebrate the season, it's 23 days before Christmas Day. Good afternoon to those of you listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9. From Moran Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point. This is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you can download from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, whenever, wherever. We thank those of you who have dialed a designated number to listen to Power 106 FM from the United States and the United Kingdom. And we acknowledge those who are listening to our live stream on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Subscribers to onespotmedia.com also have access to both sides of the story in particular and Power 106 FM in general. We started out this afternoon. Well, let's go back to yesterday. Yesterday, we started out with the poetry of Jamaica's poet laureate, Claude McKay. And that piece was entitled Flame Heart, Standard English Piece. This afternoon, we shared with you a Jamaican dialect piece by the same great Jamaican poet laureate, Claude McKay, a piece entitled When Christmas Come Round. That's the name of the, I think he has done about he did 3 Christmas poems, and we'll try to share the others with you over the next few days. And so that's how we started this afternoon. The title is properly, well, it's in English. The title is When Christmas Comes Round. But if you're going to do it in Jamaican, then it would be When Christmas Come Round. But I guess it's just to make sure whoever is reading the poem understands in English what the poem is about. And then now in the body of the poem, that's where the Jamaican dialect brockway like beige kite, as we say in Jamaican parlance. You get the message. So that's how we started this afternoon, When Christmas Comes Round by Claude McKay. And we paired that with this timeless recording by the late, great Neville Willoughby, who, as we've told you before on this program, technically speaking, was responsible for my first introduction to radio. It was right here at 32 Lyndhurst Road, following a schoolmate of mine who was a member of the Colgate Cavity Fighters Club that used to be on RGR on a Saturday morning with Neville Willoughby and Pat Lazarus. And was it Pat Lazarus? Pat, somebody will correct me if that's incorrect, but that's the name that came to mind just now. And Shane is his name, Shane Calabar Old Boy. So he was the one who I accompanied to the studios of RGR 94 FM years ago while still a student at Calabar, and was pretty much introduced to the console in the studio and how it operated, etc. And in fact, Neville Willoughby would normally have while he's having his supper, Shane Dixon would be at the board, at the console, learning how to use the board in the studio. And today, Shane is one of CNN's top engineers. He's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and last trip to Atlanta, Georgia, he gave us the royal tour of CNN Atlanta, and you should have seen him up and down and around as if he owned the place. That's the weight that he carries at CNN. He's not the only Calabar old boy and Jamaican who works at CNN in Atlanta. So we just had to make the connection. You know, we never forget the people who have impacted our lives over time. Let's go to the break and come back with more in just a moment.
Christmas Day. The beaches are nice, much nicer than ice. The rum is still fine.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30.
The Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association is reminding all road users to develop safe driving practices, especially with the escalating carnage on our roads. Remember, no texting while or when crossing a busy thoroughfare. Don't drink and drive. Observe pedestrian crossings. Also remember that child safety is everybody's business. Avoid speeding and help save lives. Call 876-929-2998.
The following is a public service announcement from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The Ministry of Health and Wellness wishes to advise members of the public who have been issued a vaccination card with the manufacturer's information as SII to visit a permanent vaccination site to receive an updated card. These individuals should take along a government-issued ID or a letter from a justice of the peace and their current card to a permanent vaccination site. The permanent sites are listed at vaccination.moh.gov.jm. Let's get vaccinated and let's get back to life.
Christmas Day.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. We're working on restoring the company-assigned cell phone, the 876-365-3346, work being done behind the scenes to get that up and running sooner rather than later. In the meantime, though, if you need to get in touch with us via text messaging or WhatsApp messaging, we do have the Power 106 FM text and WhatsApp line, which is 876-279-8598, 876-279-8598. Once again, if you wish to send us text messages or WhatsApp messages, please use the Power 106 FM text and WhatsApp line, 876-279-8598, 876-279-8598. Let's clear some more messages before we continue with today's edition of Both Sides of the Story here on Power 106 FM. You know how much we value your input, your messages, your feedback. Jones Dolores says, good day from Sacramento, California. Welcome, Jones Dolores in Sacramento, California. She seems to be having a rollicking good time in terms of the emojis we're seeing. Laughing to the point of tears, grinning, being grateful, and also with a lot of love. And again, that's what we're reading. We're reading into the emojis, which are on full display. Good afternoon, Jones Dolores. Patricia Barnes is dancing away based on her emojis. She is dancing to Neville Willoughby's Christmas J.A. And she's also saying hi. Hi, Patricia Barnes. She's saying hi to everyone. Velta Wilson in St. Thomas says, good day, Mr. Malcolm and listeners from all over. Love one another and forgive those who hurt you. It's a marvelous feeling to have a clear conscience, she says. Well put, Velta Wilson. Thank you very much. Dorothy Facey says, enjoyed the poem. Put me in memory as a child when the adults used to get ready after they took us to Christmas market. Happy to have assisted in evoking those emotions and that moment of nostalgia. Dorothy Facey, thank you. Ricardo in Glengough, St. Catherine, good afternoon. Audrey Smith in Southampton, England is greeting everybody. Thank you for joining us, Audrey Smith. Chuck Ray says, Dervan, every time I hear you talk about the International Year of Vegetables, I have to chuckle and wonder if this is only celebrated by politicians. Well, that's loaded, Chuck Ray. We could read that a few ways. But thank you very much for your message. And Ricardo is populating the space with a few messages as well. Sanjay is saying Marie Garth. Well, maybe she did it at some point, but there was someone else on the Colgate Cavity Fighters Club, and it was not Marie Garth. So check that again. Check that again, please, Sanjay. I know who. I'm seeing her face now, and the name that came to mind was Pat Lazarus. I might have got the name wrong, as I said, but it's not Marie Garth. I know Marie Garth. Not personally, but definitely not her. But thanks anyway, Sanjay. Sanjay Lewis from Morning Agenda, our colleague. And Chuck Ray says, my sister, now retired, worked at CNN for years. Now you tell us, Chuck Ray, why has it taken you this long to tell us? We could have had one of those earlier tours, right? Jones Dolores says thanks, and Dorothy Facey is in the UK and she's saying thanks as well. Faye Weller says, blessed love, Mr. Dervan, keep up the amazing work. We're proud of you as listeners. You're very kind, Faye Weller. Thank you very much. And YouTube is not up and running yet. Apparently, looks like we have about, well, it's fluctuating between 3 and 4 people online. A couple of thumbs up and, or thumbs up, yeah, indicators. And but no messages yet on YouTube, which is fine. We'll keep it going. Speaking of keeping it going, let's get a quick update on developments in. All right, let's go to the phone lines first. We'll come back to developments in the news. To the phone lines, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I am doing very well myself. I want to pick your brain a little bit. First thing I want to pick your brain on is, do you know the size of the delegation that went to the big event down there at Barbados?
Barbados?
Mm-hmm. Read their status now as a republic.
No, I have no idea. Jamaica had a delegation there, or you're trying to find out?
I'm trying to find out.
Oh, well, we would love to think Jamaicans are everywhere, and even if they weren't invited, I don't think it was an invitation-only event. No doubt, Jamaicans were in the mix. But in terms of an official delegation from Jamaica to Barbados, I don't know.
Okay. What do you think? There should be a proper delegation.
Well, usually the CARICOM heads of government support each other. So invariably, I mean, there's no set rule that says you have to, but invariably for the inaugurations that take place in the region, prime ministers turn up. I don't know if it may be COVID-19. Perhaps COVID-19 has made a difference or would have made a difference in terms of heads of state traveling to Barbados, but there's no.
Do you think that would be a good excuse for the minister to give us?
A good excuse?
Yes, to say based on COVID. That's why you didn't see probably the prime minister or the minister herself and some big delegation like we know would have gone someplace.
Yeah, well, we know that this is not the age for big delegations now, don't we? It's not the age for big delegations.
What about the one that went to the conference to deal with climate change.
You have the number in terms of the size of that delegation?
I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if you could draw it up.
Oh. We'll have to check.
In the meantime, I don't know if I could call it flying a kite. But let's use that for the time being, and you will tell me if that's a proper terminology. The Prime Minister at the party's conference the other day.
You mean the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party at the party's conference?
Yes, he would operate in that capacity.
Mm.
Yes, he said that he's coming with tougher gun laws to
No, that's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. The death penalty for gun possession.
No, man, not the death penalty. That was just him voicing how he feels.
Yeah, that was his personal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But so what do you think about tougher gun laws?
We've had that already. Was it gun court that was supposed to be red, or the wall painted red because it's going to be dread or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Red fence. Yes. And that we're still here. Even after that, we're still here.
But could it be that we have something but we don't maximize on it?
It could be that the implementation was flawed or ineffective. But then we've had many, many years since then to find a strategy that works. And we're still waiting.
So you don't think that could be an effective tool in the box?
We'd have to see that. The proof of that pudding would be in the eating.
So you would help that discourse along the way?
To say greater, stronger gun laws?
Yes.
That's rather vague. What does that mean? That's vague.
I'm picking up that it would mean if where persons go to the what they call it, the smaller court, the RM they call it.
Is the resident magistrate court?
Yeah, those are the smaller courts, right? Where the penalties for gun crimes are not great. You hear people getting like 2 years or something like that. Probably you would have that ratcheted up to probably 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah, well, you could try that, but it remains to be seen how much of a difference that will make. But if you want to take the position, nothing tried, nothing done, then go ahead and try it.
I'm thinking that since gun is the choice weapon in committing most of our crimes, then I think that's a good move. But I'm listening out for the cry for those who love to cry about human rights.
So what is wrong with crying about human rights? It is important. It's in all of us. For all of us, it's in our best interest to that our rights are observed and respected and enforced in no uncertain terms. That is important. We can't be calling for law and order and justice, and then we are doing an injustice by decrying those who cry out for human rights. Every country needs people like those.
The problem with me and that cry is that it is not consistent.
Well, it depends on who you ask and who is listening. We hear in this country all the time, people are asking, where is civil society? How them not talk up? No, right. I don't ask those questions because I get the answers every time I go through the archives, the Gleaners archives, and see all the who was calling for what, when, and so on and so forth. it's it is a function of, if it suits me to say that, I'll say that. If it suits me to say we're not hearing from nobody, then just allow the government to just run the country however it want to run it, and you're not hearing from civil society. No, I don't take that position because I'm hearing them. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45. Motorists, is your front end loose? Save time and money. Use the Bajik injector system. Bajik rebuilds worn ball joints, rack ends, stabilizer links, drag links, control arms, and more. Same-day service available. Bajik Jamaica, 1C Grove Road, Kingston, 929-3622.
This Christmas, give your customers a gift of appreciation. Touchline Industries is your source for the widest range of promotional items. Showcase your products for any occasion with your name and logo. Season's greetings from Touchline Industries, the home of promotional items, 4A Swallowfield Road. Visit touchlinejamaica.com or call 876-968-2650. Don't forget the name, Touchline Industries.
The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities presents the International Day for Persons with Disabilities Public Sector Management Sensitization Session under the theme, Not All Disabilities Are Visible, this Friday, December 3. Tune in for a broadcast of this event during Real Business and Power Talk from 10 a.m. to noon. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
The following is a public service announcement from Power 106 FM. Jamaica. Each wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, with the added danger of variants, has brought unprecedented pressure on public resources. Our hospitals and healthcare workers at breaking point. Our economy battered, families in mourning, and our children face an uncertain future due to learning loss. In this race against COVID-19, we must stay in it to win it. We must continue using techniques that can help to beat the virus. Follow COVID-19 mitigation measures, including wearing masks, sanitizing, 6 feet of physical distance from others. And on this leg of our relay, we can win with vaccination. These safe and proven vaccines can make the difference against COVID-19. And now that vaccines are in supply, let's get vaccinated so we can get back on track and keep winning. The finish line against COVID-19 is in sight. And with true Jamaican determination, we can all have the victory. Brought to you by your friends at Power 106 FM.
So we ain't giving up now. We put up a fight. We got to be ready. The stock's getting traded. Just said, don't you worry.
At Christmas Day, so run and come to see your son. It's Christmas Day.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Just before we return to the caller online, couple of messages. Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. I feel like a kid. Tried finishing up most of my chores to listen in. That's very kind of you. Thanks for listening in. Looking forward to another lovely program, says the rest of that message. He's speaking your brain, I see, says someone. Another message. Good day, Dervan. A good question for that caller to have asked is whether our Prime Minister had extended congratulations to the government and people of Barbados on behalf of the government and people of Jamaica on the occasion of their becoming a republic. If that was done, I must have missed it. From Crocs in Black River. Thank you for your message, Crocs in Black River. You are perfectly correct. That's a good question to ask, whether the Prime Minister extended congratulations to the government and people of Barbados. Now, we know there's a bit of, I'm not sure if it's continuing, but a bit of a strain in the relationship between the heads of state of Jamaica and Barbados. And this goes back to the Donald Trump's presidency and that meeting that was called where some CARICOM members attended and some didn't, and so on and so forth. So one wonders if even in the name of diplomacy, that relationship has been mended. The fracture in that relationship has been mended. We would hope, if even in the name of diplomacy and the future and the development of CARICOM. But yes, Crocs, you are correct. That would be a good question to ask. That's very pointed of you and insightful. Thank you very much, Crocs, in Black River, for your message. Keep the messages coming in. So the caller is online. So you heard Crocs is suggesting what you really need to ask the Prime Minister.
No, that's Crocs' question. Yes. That I would call it a follow-up.
Right.
Yes.
Got you.
So I was talking about the human rights cry.
Yes.
And I was saying that my issue is the level of consistency with the cry. And to go along with the cry is responsibility. You don't get that coming alongside. Right.
Responsibility on whose part?
On each person's part.
Well, it goes without saying, we all have rights, yes, but and we've talked about that over the years to make the point that sure, we all have rights and our rights must be respected, but we must recognize as well that importantly that with those rights comes responsibility. With those rights comes responsibility. And if we fail to behave like responsible citizens of this country, then the laws of the country should take care of us one way or another.
So I think that's where the issue lies, Dervan. We need to carry alongside the cry, the responsibility.
Not even just alongside. The other thing we've argued over the years is that we in Jamaica we learn about rights before we learn about responsibility.
Right.
And we really should do it the other way around. Also, we learn to strike before we learn to be productive. So we do a lot of things in reverse in this country, not unique to us by any means, but we must place emphasis on doing what is right, on taking responsibility, and being recognizing that when we fail to take responsibility, when we fail to be responsible, then the law must take its course.
Yeah. I think I would love to see Dervan at the different CDCs.
That's right. Community Development Councils?
Yes. Or at PTA meetings. Persons there, would like to take it as a point of duty to probably talk about a particular right and to, just talk about the responsibility that goes along with a particular right.
That's public education, which is why people have been clamoring for some time now for civics to be reintroduced as part of the curriculum.
Because when you're in the street there, and you see people behave some way. When you look at how people just
Lord, I saw two things this morning. Sorry, I don't mean to hog the show. But this morning, early this morning, just before 6 o'clock, intersection of, let's tell you, the intersection of Lady Musgrave Road and Trafalgar Road. So here I was in the right lane and a gentleman in the left lane. So we were side by side. Gentleman looked like a senior citizen or a middle-aged man, maybe in his 60s going on 70s. And I was in the right lane. And we both waited, never mind the time of morning, because usually there are those of us, depending on the time of night or morning, we ignore the light. We just roll through the light, the traffic lights. And so being responsible people, it was like two responsible people this morning who were at that traffic light. I was in the right lane, the gentleman in the left lane. And we both waited until the light changed to green. So the light changed to green, and we did the right thing, was to proceed cautiously, because we know we have some really crazy people in Jamaica. And would you believe it? There's the gentleman driving down, and we're both side by side. And out of nowhere came this vehicle. And if that driver was not being responsible and cautious at an intersection, even though we had the green light, that would have been such a massive smash up that I'm sure vehicles would spin. I'm sure my vehicle would get hit as well, guaranteed, based on analyzing the situation. That could have been. And that, so we're grateful that, I'm just saying, where did we get this thing from? And then say this morning as well, later in the morning, so to speak, I'm at the intersection of Old Hope Road, and I can't remember the name of that road that runs off Old Hope Road, one of those roads running off Old Hope Road. We get to an intersection where you have there's an arrow signal to direct vehicles to turn right on the green arrow. And so I got to that intersection, the light, that arrow changed from green. Well, it changed by the time I got there. It was just about to change from amber to being blank. Or from amber to red. So I slowed down and came to a stop. This black vehicle, this black van behind me, just decided to pull from behind. The motorist driving this black just pulled out from behind because he wasn't going to wait for that arrow to change again to green, and just swung right and went about his business. I'm saying, what is happening to Jamaicans?
Yeah, that's the behavior.
I don't know. My mother used to talk about imbibing the excrement of a I'm trying to remember those weren't the words that she would use, but I have translated what she said. Those who know the expression, right, imbibing on the excrement of a deranged feline. You can figure that out, the Jamaican expression. Right, but clearly something is wrong. Something is desperately wrong in terms of what we're seeing being played out. And I keep saying to people, you don't become a different person when you sit behind that wheel. Whatever we see in terms of the driving, whatever we see is an indication of who we are. That's plain and simple. We are how we drive. That we're telling the world what kind of human being we are. or what kind of human beings we are when we behave like that. It's crazy. I stopped enjoying driving no soon after I got my first car many years ago. It was no longer fun. It is no longer fun. So I'm usually trying to get off the road as quickly as possible. Crazy out there.
Okay, Dervan. Oh, your line stay. Can I develop another point? Or
no, you can, because I talked out a lot of your time. Hold on a moment, please.
Rum is still fine, and so is the wine.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3 o'clock.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
NIS pensioners. Early encashment continues. Pension order vouchers with payable dates in December 2021 may be encashed as of December 2. Collect all your December payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Remember, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
It's Christmas Day. No one sleep. You'll never meet at Christmas Day. Run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep. You'll never meet at Christmas Day.
Thanks for holding. Please go ahead now.
Yeah, is it that we are stuck, Dervan, with having people selling alongside on the pavers of the Abada Street and the gutters of the street in the town centers? Is that something that we cannot go away from? Is it now become an unwritten rule that it is how it is, and it must be this way, and not in the designated market here?
The vending you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a general practice where the vendors will tell you that they have to go where the people are in order to make a sale. That is their perspective. And when they go inside the market, they complain that the other vendors, that the authorities don't insist that the other vendors also sell from inside the market, that the other vendors are on the road peddling and making more money than they who are abiding by the regulations and selling in the market are doing.
It's another case of the tail wagging the dog.
Yes, and that's a big problem in this country. A lot of things are after the fact, or it's organic. It just takes on a life of its own until it depends on whose rights, depending on whose rights are infringed or whose premises has been violated. That is what determines whether action is taken, whether attention is paid to that instance of the tail wagging the dog.
Okay. Right.
Let's see if I can keep it out.
What is the lesson that young people should take away from having this member of parliament from Westmoreland that was alleged to have been involved in that we have seen in a video?
Now, we don't know of anybody seeing. There's a lot of speculation. If you can tell me that you can identify clearly who you see in that video, that's another thing.
That's why I'm not calling any name.
Yeah, no, it's just no. It's the way you put it. You say who you see. I mean, can any of us truly say that we saw the individual? Yes, there is circumstantial information with respect to reports being made to the police, etc.
Right.
But apparently, it needs more than that, and the lawyers will tell you it needs more than that for any action to take place. However, the hope is always the laws, regulations, systems, processes, protocols are not always going to be sufficient in resolving issues or solving problems. The human element is also important. How do I feel as a human being? Do I know as a fact that I have done something wrong, something egregious, something bad, something terrible, something that an individual of my stature should not have done? And if I agree that I have done such a thing, do I have what it takes? Do I have the integrity? Do I have the honesty? Do I have the credibility to come forward to say, my fellow Jamaicans, on such and such a day, I did such and such a thing. I apologize sincerely to the individual who with whom I was involved in that situation, and just make that decision in light of the foregoing. I have tendered my resignation, and I hope that this individual will forgive me, and not only this individual, but the rest of my family, my constituents, my political party, and indeed all Jamaica will forgive me as I seek to demonstrate a level of remorse and regret. And I am going to be attending a couple of sessions with a health professional who can, whatever. The point is that there is that element, the human element. If as a human being I decide to use the law to the fullest extent, even though I know that I really did what I'm accused of doing, then I would be using the law. Now, nothing is wrong with using the law fundamentally. If this is what the law says, I'm going to operate within the confines of the law. But then there will always be the question of one's own sense of morality. Morality. What is my sense of my morality? And how do I act? Do I say, you know something, I could easily well use the law and get around this, or and nothing comes out of it? Or I could just be honest and upfront and tell it like it is. Because I think our people are a forgiving people more than anything else. That's been my experience. People are not necessarily unreasonable. We just want you to level with us. Just tell us what's happening. And you will find that whenever that happens, people are more receptive to what you have to say and are more inclined to wait, if it's a case of work that is to be done, to wait based on all that you explained to that person or those people.
Yeah. Well, the listeners will be the judge of whether you played that one right in the Z.
Yeah, well, no, it is what it is. It comes down to two things: whether you are going to act on the side of morality, or you are going to take comfort in the law. You are going to hide within the confines of the law, or you are going to take a principled position and step forward. That's really what it boils down to.
Okay.
That's what it boils down to. That's the only way that we could move beyond this point, all of us, including those directly involved. Other than that, and there will always be this cloud over the individual's head. No matter where the individual goes, what the individual does, that will always be hanging. Now, if people are satisfied with that kind of baggage, then so be it. They'll have to deal with all that comes with the baggage. If people don't want that kind of baggage and want to clear their name once and for all, then they know exactly what to do, one way or another.
Yeah.
So the rest of us are just left to speculate.
All right, let's watch and see what will happen.
All right. Thank you for the call.
I wouldn't hold my breath, and I don't think you should.
No, but who said anybody was doing anything like that? You'd be crazy to be doing that. But anyway.
All right, cool.
Thank you very much for the call. Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm.
Good afternoon.
How are you this afternoon?
Giving thanks for life as usual. And you?
Very well, thank you. Always a pleasure having the opportunity to dialogue with you and to share with your listeners.
Likewise.
Good afternoon to your listeners here and abroad. I would like to discuss with you this afternoon, Dervan, two issues. The issue of crime continues to be an immense problem in Jamaica, and it is most unfortunate that the Holness-led administration are of the wide opinion that states of public emergency in the short and medium term is the solution to the escalating crimes. And when we speak about crimes, it encompasses, for emphasis,
I didn't want to cut you so soon, but just by way of clarification on these matters, because we've heard it being bandied about every time we get to this point where we talk about states of emergency, that as I understand it and as I've read it, the security the security managers of this country, the heads of the security services, the police and the army, they're supposed to be experts. As experts in the field of national security, they identify certain threats, a clear and present danger or certain threats. They then inform the Minister of Defense, who also happens to be the Prime Minister, of the threats that they have detected through intelligence, their intelligence gathering apparatus and other mechanisms, and they then advise the Minister of Defense and the national, what do they call it? The Defense Council? National, hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. The National Security Council.
The National Security Council. And they then, in turn, advise the Governor General of the information that has come to them, and and the Governor General then acts accordingly. So let's remember, it is not, yes, you can't escape the politics, but it is not a case where a a prime minister who happens to be the chief of defense can just say that on his or her own, whoever the prime minister is, that I believe we need to call a state of emergency. No, that's not my understanding of how it works. It's based on the advice of the security council and the chief of defense staff, the police commissioner. They are the ones, based on their best information and intelligence gathering and other mechanisms, that based on those factors, they believe this is appropriate. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Hello, boys and girls. The Gleaners Children's Zone is back in schools. Get your weekly Smart Start for all ages. Pep lessons for grades 4 to 6, plus literacy and numeracy for grades 1 to 4. Parents, ignite your child's mind, education, and inspiration in every publication. The Gleaners Children's Zone, supporting you for more than 70 years. For more information, call us at 876-932-6188 or 876-932-6288 or contact your school.
Last week was epic. This week we go retro with Fame Frequency Retro Recall 80s and 90s. Good time. Let's go dancing to the music mixes of the 80s and of course and the 90s with the three great DJs, DJ Denvo, Donovan Dakers, and Dalton Leith. I'm gonna give you as you party with your host Misha Yen in our Zoom VIP room. Watch yourself area. That's Fame Frequency Retro Recall this Saturday, December 4, live from 9 p.m. to midnight on Fame 95 FM, 92 FM, Radio Jamaica 94 FM, and RE Online at One Spot Media and on Mixcloud at Fame Frequency. Fame Frequency Retro Recall is powered by Smyrna Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. You must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink and party responsibly. I can dream about you if I can hold you tonight.
So come one and all, and let's have a ball.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Let's continue our conversation. Thanks for holding. I'll allow you to respond now to that specific point, and then you can move on to the substantive point you wish to make.
Thank you, Dervan. What you just outlined is the correct protocol channel, and that is how the Prime Minister comes to a determination as head of government whether or not he should accept what the security chiefs have said and should proceed to ask the Governor General to declare as either one or two states of public emergency. However, when the states of public emergency were in operation for close to 1.5 years in many areas, no criminal gang was dismantled, no major drug baron was arrested, no major convictions of gang members were had in the courts. Secondly, if it is that the Prime Minister and his cabinet requires and need the support of the opposition in extending the states of public emergency after the 14 days had expired, it would seem to me that the prudent thing for him to have done is to call the opposition leader, Mark Golding, and call the opposition spokesman on national security, Peter Bunting, to a meeting at Jamaica House, articulate to them as far as he can what was outlined to him by the security chiefs, indicate to them the imperative danger that the country is apparently facing and needs states of public emergency in those areas, and then ask of them to support the extension of these states of public emergency. That was not done.
No, and I've heard that in that discussion in the public domain, and you are correct. It happens all over the world. You have government and opposition having to negotiate, to meet,
Yes.
to discuss, and to demonstrate a level of unity
Yes.
in dealing with particular issues of national significance or importance, and that would not have been a bad idea at all. That would have been the right thing to do.
Yes.
If considering that they can't do it alone, and it's just another reminder to all of us as individuals, as organizations, as institutions, as Jamaicans, as leaders. We need to be mindful of that we, as we say in Jamaican parlance, one hand can't clap. And therefore, it's a recognition that we need all hands on deck. We need to be able, notwithstanding our political leanings,
Yes.
we must be able to objectively assess a situation and to come to a conclusion and to take action, not necessarily and solely along party lines, but with a clear conscience and perhaps based on one's experience to say, no, this, while I do not agree with the frequent use of this particular this particular tool, for the time being, or at this time, I am prepared to go with it.
Yes.
But if it doesn't become palpably clear to me within this period of time that some serious work is being done, or actions being taken, or things being implemented to demonstrate in a practical way that this is going somewhere, if I don't see that within the period of time, then you will not have my support.
Yes.
And they have done that. The opposition has gone along with the government for pretty much pretty much all of the SOEs we have had, because it could not have happened without the opposition.
Yes. Now, the fact of the matter, I cannot support any medium or long-term usage of states of public emergency. The fact of the matter is that SOEs cannot be used as a crime-fighting tool. It is to be implemented when there is imminent danger to Jamaica. And the fact of the matter is, Dervan, you have the government, the security forces have the option to use curfews, cordon, and searches. The government can, when I say the government, I'm broadly speaking, the government can have the security forces saturate those areas to which there is a high level of criminality. For example, in Western Jamaica and in sections of Kingston and St. Catherine. To be wanting to use these SOEs, Dervan, for 6, 7, 8 months, 2 years, 3 years, that cannot be acceptable. And the states of public emergency were not intended to be used for any long periods of time, as this government, with all its good intentions, is wanting to use the state of public emergency, Dervan, for extensive periods of time. As I indicated to you before, the SOUs were in place some time ago. Nothing tangible occurred. What would give you hope that this time around something significant would be accomplished and achieved by the security forces and not cause a situation that when the SOEs are again, or if they were put into place and removed, that the country would not go back to square one? Now, it would seem to me, from my perspective, and I hear a lot of criticism and a lot of shallow thinking, puerile talk aimed at the opposition leader and the People's National Party for them doing the appropriate thing, in my view, at this time, refusing to extend the state of public emergency. And what I see the opposition leader and the PNP doing from a dispassionate standpoint is standing up for the constitutional rights of the Jamaican people. And I heard the opposition leader, Mr. Golding, stating unapologetically that if it so happens that the PNP loses some support or some upcoming votes by not supporting the SOEs, they are willing to accept that situation. Now, what I would want to see the police and the army doing, it is quite clear to me that it is hardly likely, or not in short order, I say, that we will see the state of public emergency being brought back. So what should be done now, Dervan, in the short term, intelligent way to proceed is to have the intelligence apparatus, have the paid police and army informants go into some of these communities, try to gather the intelligence and the information on these gangs, find the illegal guns, drug and ammunition that are being hidden in many of these communities, and seek to have them found and to have those gang members arrested, which are causing bloodshed, mayhem, and murders in this country. Another significant priority for the National Security Minister, let me in passing state that I have heard some other persons calling for Commissioner Anderson and Dr. Chang to resign. At this stage, I am fully supporting them. I think that another priority...
What's the basis of your support?
Because I believe that if they do the appropriate thing, they have the political will and the commitment. I think they have the political will and the commitment to find the appropriate crime fighting strategies and to once and for all dismantle all these gangs and address the crime problem in a meticulous and methodical way, which has not been done in the past. But I think another problem is, and I say this bluntly and fearlessly, I think Dr. Chang, Minister Chang, a very hardworking minister who is sincere and honest, I think he needs some proper advisors, a proper competent and qualified team of advisors around him. I think,
and clearly, without saying it, you are saying that those who currently provide advice to the minister are deficient.
They are prodigiously, widely incompetent and monumentally failing in their job.
And you have come to that conclusion based on what?
Based on how I have seen the entire crime problem disintegrating in Jamaica over the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. The illegal cigarette business is another cause for concern. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry in Jamaica, and Carreras has pointed out that it is very important for the security forces to cauterize this problem and to seek to stop these huge quantities, billions of dollars of illegal cigarettes which are entering Jamaica each year. I admit to you, Dervan, that CTOC has been making some inroads in this matter, but it needs a comprehensive focus.
One moment, please.
We don't have no slave, but fun we do have.
You contribute directly to Jamaica's national development when you pay your customs duties. Let's all do our part in keeping the wheels of our economy turning. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
Let's Christmas together with One Spot Media as we take you home for the holidays. Enjoy a 30% discount on our 6-month subscription plan and receive a gift of Jamaica's most authentic television and radio channels. You heard correctly. Enjoy a 30% discount when you purchase a 6-month subscription plan from One Spot Media. And let's Christmas together no matter where you are. Simply log in to onespotmedia.com, select the 6-month subscription plan and click subscribe. Offer ends January 14th, so don't hesitate. Subscribe now and let One Spot Media connect you this Christmas.
The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities presents the International Day for Persons with Disabilities Public Sector Management Sensitization Session under the theme, Not All Disabilities Are Visible, this Friday, December 3. Tune in for a broadcast of this event during Real Business and Power Talk from 10 a.m. to noon. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
At Christmas love sweet, so run and come to see and son. It's Christmas Day, no one sleep, you'll never meet. At Christmas Day, run and come to see and son. It's Christmas Day, no one sleep, you'll never meet. At Christmas Day.
Thanks for holding. Please continue.
Thank you very much, Dervan. The Jamaica Constabulary Force overall complement needs to be brought up to at least 14,500 persons. I think there are approximately 12,500 officers. It is estimated that the Jamaica Constabulary Force, which is underfunded and under-resourced at this time, as recently vociferously enunciated by the Police Federation Chairman, Corporal Rowan James, it would seem to me that this underfunding situation and under-resourcing situation, if it requires the government to take out a loan of approximately 15 to 20 billion Jamaican dollars to fully equip, to fully staff, and to fully modernize the police force with assistance from overseas in the required areas, then that needs to be done. The state of emergency would be grossly ineffective if it is that the police force is underfunded and under-resourced. I fearlessly support the suggestion from Queen's Counsel Peter Champagne that the Firearms Act should be amended to allow for a mandatory sentence of at least 15 years on conviction for persons caught with importing and distributing illegal firearms into this country. And from my perspective, additionally, any person in Jamaica who is found and arrested with 5 or more firearms, illegal firearms, they should be charged for dealing in and trafficking illegal firearms. And they should also face a mandatory sentence of no less than 15 years. The police cleared up rate is currently 46%. That needs to be dealt with. And I think that more usage of the Interception of Communications Act needs to be used. The Proceeds of Crime Act, the government had committed and signed off with the Crime Oversight Committee, I think headed by Lord Distant, that an unexplained wealth order will be promulgated into law, and that an account monitoring bill would be incorporated into the Proceeds of Crime Act to allow the security forces to make greater inroads in investigating, apprehending, and have convicted the criminal masterminds. We're still waiting upon the Minister of National Security to make the necessary amendment to the 14-year-old Proceeds of Crime Act. And on the other issue of constitutional reform, I am very disappointed, Dervan, if it is correct and factual that the Holness-led administration did not send a representative to Barbados at that celebration where the Queen was formally abolished as the head of state. I think it is greatly embarrassing for Jamaica. But I am hopeful. I heard the Honorable Minister of Culture, the Honorable Oliver Green, stating that in short order, the issue of constitutional reform, which the Prime Minister promised to implement fully, will be dealt with in Parliament. And it is my view that either a ceremonial or an executive president should be put into place in Jamaica, that the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, which is based in London, we should sever ties with the Privy Council and formally join the Caribbean Court of Justice. There needs to be the promulgating into law of an impeachment law, which has been proposed a long time ago by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, implementing a 2-term limit for all serving prime ministers, allow for all senators, including the deputy president and the president of the Senate, to be paid a salary. And there have been discussions in the past, Dervan, about considering appointing a member of the diaspora to the Senate. And finally, we need an update on the status of the proposed building of the parliamentary new building. And in closing, I am again requesting that the whole issue of the salaries, we won't get into any details, but broadly speaking, it is very imperative for once and for all for there to be a comprehensive review of the salaries paid from that of MPs to Prime Minister. I think, Dervan, we expect them to work 24 hours per day. We expect them to solve even impossible cases. We depend on them for handouts. And we expect them to deliver more than is necessary at times. And yet, the Prime Minister, I took a look at the figures last night, the Prime Minister is being paid a salary plus benefits approximately $8 million per year. It is scandalous, and it reflects very badly on the Jamaican people. So I do hope that some work can be done on upgrading the entire salary structure of those persons. And I'm certain that you would not disagree with that, Dervan.
No, we have dealt with that matter before here, making it clear that the situation is untenable.
Yes,
we can't be at war between the state and the police. We can't have a war going on between the state and the police when in fact we need to be united in the fight against the crime.
Yes, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right, go ahead.
Yes, but the government is not appropriately dealing with the police. They are committed to the police federation that they would pay overtime hours for 8 years, and the government has now backtracked and want to pay the police overtime hours for 2 years and want to expand that payout for 4 years. And now you have a situation where the police have to be going on the road to the Supreme Court to be demonstrating for their benefits, for an increase. This has never taken place in the history of government in Jamaica, where the police cannot come to an amicable salary negotiation with the government. The government
It depends on how you're looking at it, because we've had this before. We've had the rancor between the state and the police at times. Well, the police federation.
Yes.
During times of negotiations, and negotiations have stalled, and we've had there have been meetings and all kinds of positions taken over the years. So that is not new. That the toing and froing between the state and the police in negotiations.
No, Dervan, what I am referring to, you're quite correct, but what I'm referring to in terms of specificity, I have never seen the police having to go to demonstrate in front of the Supreme Court or any public building before for what is due to them.
Yeah.
And if the government had agreed with them, Dervan, to pay them for 8 hours for 8 years, 8 years of overtime hours, and they are now refusing to pay them for 2 years. That is clearly unacceptable.
Yeah, well, as we have said, we're dealing with big people here. These are not children.
Yeah.
And we should be able, as rational, thoughtful, cerebral individuals, to arrive at a position which would inure to the good of the members of the police force.
Yes.
And would not expose the country to any threats of a fiscal nature.
Yes.
So it's a delicate balancing act.
Yes. Well, we're hoping.
But they deserve better. There's no question about that.
Yes, and as you said before, Dervan, along with the salary, you're big on benefits. I hope
absolutely.
That some proper benefits can be given to them as add-on to their salaries in going forward. Thank you so much, Dervan, for taking my call. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. All the best to your listeners and to your staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello? That person got tired of holding. Sorry about that. Maybe we could clear a couple of messages in the meantime. Let's see. Jacqueline Simmons, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Sophia Nemad, good afternoon to you as well. It's good to have you on board here on Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Sanjay Sinanan says, hello, Mr. Malcolm. Hello to you too, Sanjay Sinanan. Rose McIntosh in London says, good afternoon, Sir Dervan. Good afternoon, Rose McIntosh. The listener who goes by the moniker Think Tank says, good evening. Well, good afternoon, still afternoon here in Jamaica. Mr. Malcolm, when I tune into your program, it's like I'm in the classroom with my fellow scholars, listening to the lecture that has been presented. Job well done. Thank you, Think Tank. Ian says, this man is repeating everything Bunting said. It's not shallow talking. We have more than 1,000 people being murdered every year. And the other message is also from Ian. All those messages we just read were from Ian. And Ian is saying, is asking, were we invited in reference to the the inauguration, well, of the new president, the abolishing the monarchy, and specifically the Queen as head of state of Barbados. Well, that's a good question as well. So we got a good question earlier on. This is another good question. Question of whether, who started it? It was, where did the message go? It was, it was Crocs, right? It was Crocs in Black River who asked the question. All right, let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45.
The Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association is reminding all road users to develop safe driving practices, especially with the escalating carnage on our roads. Remember, no texting while or when crossing a busy thoroughfare. Don't drink and drive. Observe pedestrian crossings. Also remember that child safety is everybody's business. Avoid speeding and help save lives. Call 876-929-2998.
Christmas Day, no one sleep.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Yes, Crocs in Black River was the one who asked whether, his message says, a good question for that caller to have asked is whether our Prime Minister had extended congratulations to the government and people of Barbados on behalf of the government and people of Jamaica on the occasion of their becoming a republic. If it was done, I must have missed it, Crocs said in his message. And this message now, in reference to the question of, from the caller, the caller who prompted, whose call prompted Crocs's message, he was asking what was the size of the delegation, and in fact asking that to find out whether there was in fact a delegation from Jamaica to Barbados in solidarity with their standing on their own 2 feet, so to speak, and no longer having the Queen as head of state. On that score now, Ian is asking a good question. Were we invited? So that's another good question. Were we invited? Was there an official invitation from the Prime Minister of Barbados, or, yeah, it would have to be at that level, from the Prime Minister of Barbados, for inviting regional heads, or that one, just saying it, I'm backing up, because I don't know. My impression is that it's a function of the relationships within CARICOM and other matters as well, perhaps, which would determine whether this or that Prime Minister is invited, or whether this or that Prime Minister picks up the phone and calls the Prime Minister of Barbados, for example, to say congratulations, and so on and so forth. And I am ready. I am prepared to join you and the people of Barbados on that day. When was it? The 30th of November. To be a part of that experience. So I'm not sure there are any obligations there, especially in a time of COVID-19. Not sure of any obligation to go or to send an invitation or to invite oneself, etc. But usually, depending on the relations and relationships between CARICOM countries and their leaders, you will find them attending inauguration ceremonies, as has happened in the past here in Jamaica. We have had other Caribbean leaders attending the inaugurations at King's House, inauguration ceremonies at King's House. So there you go. The more questions on that one. Errol in Maryland says, "Good afternoon, sir, from the DMV. Now that we have the new testing before coming back from Jamaica to one day, is there some place in Jamaica that does testing on Sundays if you have a Monday flight?" Yes, there's. I don't want to do any free ads for anybody, but there is there is an outlet at the Norman Manley International Airport, and yes, they are open on Sundays. Yes, there is that. There's that one right on the grounds of the Norman Manley International Airport. As you enter as you go by you get into the roundabout and then exit, going as if you're going to departures. That is where it's on your left. That is where the center, one of the testing centers, is located. And they do testing on Sundays. Yes. Errol, looking forward to coming home. He's been talking about this for the whole year. And look at how time flies. You're almost there, Errol. Almost there. Delphi Duncan says, "Hi, Dervan. I'm here listening." Welcome, Delphi Duncan. It's good to have you on board. Always good to have you on board. Both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. A couple of other messages have come in since the last time we checked. Let's see. Where do we start? Let's go to this one. Says, "Dervan, you are giving the theory, but what goes on in practice is different, especially when the police commissioner was once the national security advisor of the prime minister. It has been suggested that a former commissioner of police resigned because he refused to go along with the calling of SOEs. That does not accord with the theory." Well, if you have that information, well, you may as well leak the information. Go ahead and leak it, no? Because anybody can say anything, including you. But go ahead and leak the information. Tell us who, which former commissioner of police resigned because he refused to go along with the calling of SOEs. And how would you know that? Are you high up in the ranks of the high command? Is that it? That you have that kind of information? We have to make the point. Our people need to know what the systems are, what the structure is, and the protocols. That's just what it is. So the fact of the matter is, it's the chief of defense staff and the police, one or both, on their advice, based on the intelligence gathered, based on the threats they have identified, they then take it to the National Security Council, which is headed by the Minister of Defense, who is also the Prime Minister. And then the Prime Minister, naturally, I think the opposition leader is advised as well, and the Governor General, and then the action is taken. Now, we did say earlier on, if this person was listening, that I'm trying to remember exactly how I put it, that we know we can't escape the politics. I think that's what I said earlier on. We know we can't escape the politics, or something to that effect. So we are cognizant of the fact that there are decisions that are made which align with political positions, whether by the leader or whoever else, it's human nature. You will have that. But what we'd like to hope and believe is that we have men and women of integrity. And that's what the system of government presupposes, that we're dealing with men and women of integrity, and that men and women of integrity will act in the best interest of the country, in the best interest of the country. That is the hope, that those of us who occupy certain positions will at all times, because this is the oath for those of us who bother to listen to the oath of office, or the oaths of office that are taken by ministers and prime ministers, etc., etc. This is the oath that is taken, essentially saying that they will act in the best interest of the country and the people. So that is what we expect. So if we have, which is why, as we said the other day, our goal must be to continue producing more men and women of integrity. Because the more of those we produce, the deeper and wider the pool will be, and the less worries we will have when one of those men and women of integrity is appointed to a particular position. So that is, it's a philosophical position, but it does make sense, and that's why we're saying it. That's why we're saying it. So in any system, we will always have, we'll always have the laws, the rules, the regulations, the protocols, the technicalities. We'll always have that. But in the final analysis, as we always say on this program, it boils down to what a single individual does at a particular point in time. And that can have implications for an entire country, not least of all, indeed, an entire world. What an individual does or fails to do at a particular point in time. And of course, those age-old questions. What did you know? When did you know it? And what did you do about it? Those questions of accountability and probity all are a part of the mix. So we were outlining the procedure as we have read it and as we understand it. Now, whether people decide to corrupt those procedures or seek to undermine those procedures is another matter. And those people must be called out and must be forced to face the consequences of their action or inaction. Right, let's move on. So that was, where was that message? Right, we got to the point of, should I hear the, no, where is it? The message I read a short while ago. Right, the person who was saying, Dervan, you're giving the theory, but what goes on in practice is different. Well, the theory is important. It is getting our people to understand how the system is supposed to work. So once we put that out there, our people are empowered because they now know how the system is supposed to work. With that knowledge, if information comes to hand, or there is some indication that those who are supposed to act in a particular way, based on what the theory is, as you put it, or the system is, how will people know that something is wrong if they don't know how the system is supposed to work? It's with the knowledge of how it's supposed to work that people will put up a red flag when they realize, hey, this is not what's supposed to happen. So that's why we always have to put the facts out there, put, as you call it, the theory. It has to be put out there. Right. Let's get ready for the next break and the rest of the messages. We still have quite a few messages to clear. Let's see. This one. All right, let's read this when we come back. When we come back from the break, because we're pretty close to the break right now.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock. Power Talk on Power 106 FM, finding solutions to the challenges we face in a globalized world. Power Talk, taking talk radio to another level. Join Dr. Herbert Gale on Mondays and Tuesdays and Simon Crosskill from Wednesday to Friday as they provide riveting analysis on the issues of the day and speak with stakeholders charged with driving innovation to move Jamaica forward. Tune in for innovative features designed to showcase local development and highlight how the global issues of the 21st century are being addressed. That's the powerful pair, Dr. Herbert Gale and Simon Crosskill on Power Talk, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays, right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot. Que hora es en espagnol? Son las 4:01. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:01. 现在几点了？4点01分. A minute past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? Checking in with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, and we're going to clear some more messages. This one, let's go to the next. Right, let's go to the next message. This one says, Mr. Malcolm, I hear the caller repeat an argument forwarded by those against the SOE, that the SOE should only be used when there is an emergency and the country is facing a serious danger. Is this caller and those he agrees with saying the crime and murder rates in Jamaica are not a big enough problem to warrant a drastic measure such as the SOE? Well, stick up in there. We're going to read the rest of your message in a moment. We have been saying for years in this country that we have never treated crime as a crisis in this country, and in particular murders, that we have never treated it as a crisis. People can always debate whether that happened in the past or has been happening or is happening now. But what we are saying, what we have had, what we have experienced, and what we have seen in combing through the archives of the Gleaner, as we love to do, is that what we have had over the years are stops and starts, stops and starts, stops and starts. Like that festival song, she stop, she go, she stop, she go, she stop, she go. Surely that was speaking of Jamaica. That song was about Jamaica. She stop, she go. So we have had stops and starts because of changes in administration, changes in policy direction, mismanagement, the whole works, for all kinds of reasons. We have failed to consistently and sustainably manage or bring to a more manageable level crime and violence in this country. We have never seriously treated it as a crisis. It is a crisis. But here's the thing. Because so many of us have become numb and immune even to all of this, And because it's been happening for so long and obviously over an extended period of time, and if you look at the numbers over the years, you will see that we have been at this place for a very long time. And so there's nothing shocking anymore. The shock and awe are gone. There's nothing shocking anymore about it. And so people just get on with their lives. You do what you can as an individual to protect yourself and your loved ones. And see what happens, what life has in store. So it's that kind of approach now. So it has become normal to have a murder rate over 1,000 in a country where there's no declared war. A murder rate of over 1,000. It has become quite normal. So when you say now you're going to use a state of emergency to deal with this situation, because the SOEs have been so used in relatively recent times, back to back to back to back, there's a feeling, and based on some of the things that have happened in the vicinity of, or even inside, in the belly of SOEs, that there's a feeling that it don't make no sense, a sense of resignation. Because with or without it, we still have the crime situation. Mind you, the police, through the commissioner, will and the high command will demonstrate to you in percentages what in percentages the impact of the states of emergency over time on different communities or different police divisions. They will show you it went down this year by 38%. In this year, it was in St. James, it was by 70%, a 70%. Now that one is quite palpable, because I remember on this program when we had more than 300 people killed in St. James. I remember that, and I remember talking about that. Right? And so the police will show you the statistics. But here's the thing. As we always say on this program, one thing following another is not necessarily an indication that one caused the other. Of course, if you have palpable evidence, if you can demonstrate palpably, not just in saying, when we had the SOEs, crime came down in this community, went down in that. Let's get the specifics. Based on the strategy we employed, and you don't have to give away your strategy, but based on the strategy we employed, this particular strategy has been effective. What we have done is to, again, without saying too much, but just to put the numbers up there, there could be various reasons why those numbers went down. It could be any reason. It doesn't necessarily mean that the SOE caused that drop, right? So we have to fix it. We have to find a way, and only the people of Jamaica can solve Jamaica's problems, quite frankly. We know it. We know it inside out. We know who these people are. They are our family members, our neighbors, our colleagues, our friends who are engaged in all kinds of nefarious acts in this country. And there are channels established for information and intelligence to be shared. But then we live in a society where the trust deficit is so deep. It is so deep that it's one of the reasons why we have the stops and starts. I mean, I can't imagine there's a service station intersection of Malines and Red Hills Road where there were a couple of murders right there on the pump, and that could have turned out much worse. To show you how silly these people are. to be firing firing shots in a service station. So for us to have had that murder, those two murders in the first instance, and then we come back and there is another killing at the same service station. And I'm saying, did we gather any intelligence or any data or any other material from what happened in the first instance? And if so, how have we been able to respond as a police service, in whether within that division or from the hierarchy, to deal with that situation? And when that happens, and this is it, when they win, when those of our people who have turned against us and our country, when they win, it is like a dagger to the heart of the rest of us. When they win, because when they win, they keep winning, they keep doing it, because they keep winning whenever they do that. Whenever they do the things, they commit the crimes that they do commit, they keep getting away with murder, literally and figuratively. But it's not easy because we have a lot of corrupt people in this country. Usually when we talk about corruption, we look in the direction of the politicians and the police and the pastors and the prisoners. But what about the rest of the population, the people? There are a lot of us who are very corrupt, or corrupt, different levels of corruption. And we put up with a lot of the slackness that takes place, whether conveniently or otherwise. So that doesn't help the situation either. That's like what they say, putting puss for God, putting butter a puss mouth or something like that, my mother used to say. It runs deep, and the sooner, and we know there are those of us who are supremely partisan. We're partisan to the core. And what that does, it serves to further divide us. And for those of us who call talk shows, for example, who are supremely partisan, after a while, nobody listens. You only speak to, you're speaking to the choir, or preaching to the choir, as the expression goes. Because people then tune you out because they know what you're coming with. And we have to get to the stage where we can have reasonable, rational debates whether our people who we love are involved or the party that we support is involved or not. We must be able to have some rational discussions, some thoughtful discussions and debates publicly on these matters. But it can't be just to score points, for your political party. We have to be more cerebral than that. We must use up this brain of ours to think for ourselves and to enjoy a level of independence of thought, so that it shouldn't matter if it's my party do it and it's wrong, it's wrong. And if it's your party do it and it's wrong, it's wrong. But we have to lift the discourse. Other than that, what we have are just bickerings on both sides. And that is not to say there isn't a place for the cut and thrust of politics. In fact, when it is very well done, gosh, it is like theater, right? But I'm just saying, every single one of us, and this is nothing new, this is nothing novel, every single one of us has a role to play. Every single one of us has a role to play. And if we are deep in the corruption ourselves, then we can't help this country. All we're going to help this country to do is to get deeper into the corruption and the quagmire. But we must, when we speak as Jamaicans on national issues, it must be palpably clear that we are doing so not because we love this party or that party more any less, but we love Jamaica more, to borrow that turn of phrase from William Shakespeare, because we love Jamaica more. It's not because we love anybody else less. No. But what we are saying is this is about Jamaica and Jamaicans. But it's about our country, Jamaica. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15.
Under the law. Know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. Under the law.
Brought to you today by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Educating, advocating, empowering.
Learn more facts about the Disability Act.
I have a disability. I am getting married, and guess what? You can't stop me.
That would be discrimination. Under the Act, you also have to make reasonable arrangements to accommodate persons with disabilities, like ramps, sign language interpreters, or special computer software.
Make a start and play your part and learn all the facts on the Act.
Visit jcpdja.com. A message from the JCPD.
Good morning.
Good morning. New student, I presume?
Yes, we registered online for 4 of your courses.
That young man with that walker is the student?
Yes.
That poses a big problem. We can't accommodate him here. I'm sorry.
What you saying? You are a registered educational institution. And my son decided to come here because you're one of the few schools that offer the courses he needs to get into university.
But all our students can climb stairs. We have never had a student who uses such a device before. We are not prepared for that.
You're discriminating against my son because he have a disability? Tell me that is not so.
Discriminate is a very strong word, madam. Let's just say this is not the ideal place for someone like him.
My son might have a disability, but he is a brilliant boy, you hear? And you can't, with a clear conscience, deny him an education.
That's not our intention, but he has come to the wrong place.
We have a problem here. One of the objects of the Disabilities Act is to reinforce and promote recognition in Jamaica of the principle that a person with a disability has the same fundamental rights as any other person in Jamaica. Discrimination means any distinction, exclusion, or restriction on the basis of disability, which nullifies the recognition on an equal basis with others of privileges, legal interests, rights, benefits, and treatment in all aspects of life, including denial of reasonable arrangements. Discriminate shall be interpreted accordingly. That's how it is under the law.
Brought to you today by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Educating, advocating, empowering.
Join us Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6:45 and 8:55 a.m. and at 4 and 9:55 p.m. on Power 106 FM for Under the Law.
In the positive. Power Talk on Power 106 FM, finding solutions to the challenges we face in a globalized world. Power Talk, taking talk radio to another level. Join Dr. Herbert Gale on Mondays and Tuesdays and Simon Croskell from Wednesday to Friday as they provide riveting analysis on the issues of the day and speak with stakeholders charged with driving innovation to move Jamaica forward. Tune in for innovative features designed to showcase local developments and highlight how the global issues of the 21st century are being addressed. That's the powerful pair, Dr. Herbert Gale and Simon Croskell on Power Talk, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays, right here on Power 106 FM.
What fun we do have at Christmas Day.
Que ahora es en español, son las 4:19. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:19. 现在几点了？ Si Dien Shi Jiao Fen. 19 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? If not, now is a good time. Good afternoon to all the schoolers listening to us, all the students from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning today. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable, education makes you trainable, training makes you employable, and the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. And let's see some more messages coming in. Oh, let's finish with that. Was it a text or WhatsApp message earlier on? Right. So the person was asking if the crime and murder rates in Jamaica are not a big enough problem to warrant a drastic measure such as the SOE. So the person is asking, is this caller and those he agrees with saying that the crime and murder rates in Jamaica are not a big enough problem to warrant a drastic measure such as the SOE? If that's the case, I would like to ask them if they are aware that little Jamaica is among the 5 most murderous countries in this big wide world, and to specifically state that what would warrant a state of emergency. Well, as we've said, and we've talked about this for years, long before this relatively recent series of states of emergency, long before that, we had been saying it, that we have never ever treated crime, the twin evils of crime and violence, they're inextricably linked anyway, that we have never treated these scourges as a crisis. And so we have had stops and starts, as we said earlier on. Don't want to repeat myself, but we've had these stops and starts over the years, as the festival song said. She stopped, she go, she stopped. So we start a project here, an initiative there, bits and pieces, as opposed to a broad a broad plan of action that has multiple moving parts and effectively managing all of that, or whatever the strategy is, however it is employed. So that's a big part of it, because after a while people are going to have a problem with this and a problem with that, and so all right, we can't continue this, we have to try another way. We try another way, which turns out to be the same way, it doesn't work, and we say, all right, states of emergency, and this one, and then another one, and another one, and then yes, some ease is evident, but for the most part the numbers stay above 1,000 these days. Well, it's been like that for some time, not just these days, but it just requires, and it's going to be tough because we're already such a divided people. We're already such a divided people in this country that it just means it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher. It's already tough, and it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher. There's a song for that. It's going to get tougher yet. Sheila Clark Wallace says, hi Dervan, blessings to you. Is there a testing for one day in Montego Bay as well? I'm sorry, I don't know. I haven't had reason to fly out of Sangster International in a while, but we can speak specifically to NMIA, Norman Manley International Airport. Thanks for your message. But you can check. Chances are, if it's in Kingston, it's in Montego Bay. Yeah, if there's, just as though there's a center, a testing center on location at the Norman Manley International Airport, rest assured, there's at least one on the grounds of Sangster International Airport. Norman Hines says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan, Malcolm, and listeners. To you too, Norman Hines. Rani Bell is joining us as well. Thank you. And more messages pouring in. Let's see if you have. Ann Ramsey is waving. Hi, Ann Ramsey. Natalie Winter in Washington Garden says, hi, good evening, good afternoon. Dervan, fact and theory sometimes don't add up. There are missing pieces to the puzzle. Guess it if you can. Well, everything has a structure, even if it's organic. It took on a life of its own, and so people need to know what that structure is. She says, hi, good evening again, and it's still afternoon, Natalie, still afternoon. Evening starts at 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock later on, it will be evening. Right now, it's still afternoon. Yes, so Natalie says, any skillful Minister of National Security can work around the crime problem. He or she has to have strong political will and backing. Ian says, for the past 17 years, we have more than 1,000 murders a year. If that's not an emergency, what is? And pertinent question. But you see, part of it, Ian, is that when we initially set about to treat this cancer called crime, we perhaps didn't employ the tools that were necessary. We perhaps fell short, or we perhaps were looking for things to happen too quickly, and so we ended the program of enhanced security measures abruptly, and therefore people then went back to normal in inverted commas after that. And then we have some flare up here and flare up there, and we try something else there, and it may or may not work. And in all of this, in all this time, the numbers are climbing every year. The numbers are going up. And before you know it, having more than 1,000 murders a year is the norm in Jamaica. And so at what point, you're asking, do we treat it as a crisis? Well, it should have been treated like a crisis a long time ago, and sustainably so. But hey, for the most part, those within earshot of this broadcast, we're all still here. And there's no time like the present. Let's seize the moment. Let's seize the day. Carpe diem. Let's seize the day. Let's seize the moment. Let's do what needs to be done. But of course, it must be done in keeping with the laws that govern the country. So let's do what we are able to lawfully do and try to cauterize this problem. My thing always is, in the first instance, stop the bleeding. In the first instance, stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. And then once we have gotten through that phase of the bleeding, we move to the next phase of further stabilizing the patient in order to effectively diagnose what the impact of whatever the injury was, or the problem or the situation, and to be as methodical as possible, as meticulous and as scientific oriented as possible, but with the ultimate objective in mind. And we're supposed to have a committee which is made up of, just as though we had the Economic Program Oversight Committee, which has worked very well as far as the stability of our economy is concerned. And there's one on crime, but it is not having the same effect at all. or anything near to that same effect. But we have to do something, not just anything, but something based on all we know at this point. Let us search ourselves and search our country for the solutions, the appropriate solutions, based on all we know up to this point. Surely we can find a way to make a difference as far as these horrific numbers are concerned.
At Christmas love sweet, so run and come to see and son. It's Christmas Day.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
Christmas Day. Run and come to see and son. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day. So run and come to see and son. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day.
Que hora es en espagnol? Son las 5:29. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5h-29. Tiensei, Tidian le. 5:29. 29 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. More messages coming in. Let's see. Now, where did we read the last message from? Was it on... Oh, yes, it was on YouTube. On YouTube. And also on YouTube, Donovan Campbell says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm and listeners, home and abroad. I strongly agree that we should put politics aside and come together to help our country in fighting this high crime rate. Yes. That's the way it is. Or the way it should be. Yes, more unity in the fight against crime and violence. Some more messages. Let's go to this one. Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Thursday to you and your listeners. Mr. Malcolm, I understand that there are plans afoot to do a review of Jamaica's constitution. If there's going to be a review, it must be wide scale. For instance, there must be the recall of MPs and councillors. The people cannot vote for a candidate and have to wait for the entire term. They can anything about how they can't do anything about how they perform. Clarky Bless in Huntstown, St. Mary. Well, by all means, when that train comes around, that not for the first time, for the how many times now? Whenever that train comes around again, called constitutional reform, let's make sure that we let our voices be heard and don't shy away from the opportunity to contribute to the laws of this land. This one says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. 59 years we're holding on to Britain to think for us. Why can't both political parties think as black people and create a better living environment for all Jamaicans. Well, they'll tell you that that is the goal. They always espouse the positions of doing what is right and good for the country, good for Jamaicans, and we are here to build a better Jamaica, etc. But it really is about the action. It's the doing. It's the how that counts. This one says, Sir Malcolm, when are we getting back your personal number 365-3346? Well, that is in motion right now. And if it doesn't happen for the rest of this afternoon, all things being well, perhaps when we get back from New York this weekend, all things being well, perhaps when we get back from New York. But yeah, that is that. So for the time being, please use the Power 106 FM text and WhatsApp number 876-279-8598. 876-279-8598. But things have been put into motion, and it should happen pretty soon. So don't worry, it will happen pretty soon. This one says, Dervan, Mr. Bunting has never been a believer in states of emergency from the outset. Under Dr. Peter Phillips's leadership of the PNP, he openly voiced his opposition to the states of emergency, even when his party supported it. Now, Mr. Bunting has convinced everyone in the PNP to follow. The main reason for not supporting the state of emergency is to be able to say that his record shows that his party did better with crime than the JLP. Really? It's a disgrace to see what is happening. Dr. Phillips made the point this week about politicizing policies. Take note that majority of PNP and PNP senators haven't voted. Peter and Mark seem to be a case of blind following blind on the matter of state of emergency. Well, they have to make a decision, or they had to make a decision, and they made a decision. And we know how it is in politics. When you make a decision, you live or die by that decision. You will live or die by that decision. And it remains to be seen how people, the general, when the time comes around for members of the general public, the citizens of this country, to cast their vote, whether, and one wonders whether the majority of those of us who vote in this country, whether we vote on issues and policies and performance, whether past or present or expected, or we just vote because, yeah man, me like her or me like him. Yeah man, he's a cool youth, man. People have different reasons, and we can't control. Some of us would love to control how people vote. Yes, there are those of us, by virtue of how we express ourselves, it's as if we want to control how people vote. No. As much as we would want people to vote according to the issues and the policies and performance, etc., people are going to vote in their own interest. They're going to vote in their own interest. So whether because I like this MP, or I think this MP has done an excellent job, or I think this MP flop, or I believe in the policies outlined by this party as opposed to that, people will have their reason to vote. And there are those of us who will tell you that in not voting, we are voting. And of course, there are others who don't buy that at all, because they feel that all of us who are eligible to vote should vote and must vote. And then there are those of us who say, no better herring, no better barrel. In other words, well, we have seen what both sides have had to offer over the decades, for those of us who have lived long enough. And yeah, we have seen what we have seen. And then there are those of us who say, well, let's go for the lesser of the two evils. So people have different reasons. Now, what the political directorate must do is to give the people reasons, real solid reasons to vote one way or another. Give the people solid reasons why they should vote one way or another. Convince the people. Get the people to see the issues, to see the policies as you are presenting them, and the extent to which they are feasible or they make sense will come out in the wash. But in the final analysis, we can't tell people who to vote for, and nobody should, as in to spell it out or insist. No, because even if people put on a face or put on a show in your presence, in the final analysis, when they go into that voting booth, it's between them and God alone. So they maybe tell you one thing out of street that them go and vote for you. Yeah, man, may have your vote locked. And when they go behind, when they go into the voting booth, it's a different story. And people are free to do that. They're free to do that. So it's a matter of giving people, it's like this program. We have a duty to give people a reason to listen. People don't have to listen to this program. They have so many choices, more than 30 radio stations in Jamaica. They don't have to listen. We have to give people a reason to listen. It's the same thing in any sphere of work, any field of work. There's a level of convincing that is necessary to get people to see things your way or to go along with your plan, your program, your product, your people. Yeah, so it is. Thank you very much. Where did that come from? Thank you. Was it Donovan's message on WhatsApp? Not WhatsApp, on YouTube. Oh, no, it's a message on WhatsApp, the Power 106 WhatsApp line, 876-279-8598. Right, so we have read the message in its entirety. We're getting some news that from Ludlow Barker, our colleague here, who is quite a basketball aficionado. He's top of his game in terms of coaching. And he has shared a message that Simone Jackson died this morning from breast cancer. One of his players, coaches, and daughter, or let me see if I understand that. One of my players, coaches, and daughter. One of my players, coaches. So it's a player's coach and daughter. Not two different people, right? So it's Simone Jackson, as Ludlow tells us in this message, one of, as he puts it, I just have to read it as I see it then, one of my players, coaches, and daughter, Simone Jackson. So condolences to Ludlow Barker and his coaching team at their basketball academy. It's the way we all have to go, as sad as it is and always is. May her soul rest in peace and light perpetual shine on her. We're getting ready for another break right now on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45. Want new wheels? Massive Auto Parts and Car Sales has your cars, car parts, and accessories. Visit 158 Main Street, Ocho Rios, Pineapple Place, or call 876-298-6413. In light of the coronavirus, Massive Auto Parts and Car Sales is asking drivers on the road to be careful and to be safe. Massive Auto Parts and Car Sales, giving you quality parts and cars at unbeatable prices.
Waiting on your receivables, waiting to purchase raw materials to fulfill your next order, waiting to get paid for goods already sold, 60 days, 90 days, invoices way past due. What if you could be insured for up to 85% of your domestic and foreign receivables, so that if you don't get paid on time, your biggest priority, your business, will not have to wait? Trade credit insurance. Insurance worth having. Credit without waiting. Exim Bank. By helping businesses, we save lives and livelihood.
Power Talk on Power 106 FM, finding solutions to the challenges we face in a globalized world. Power Talk, taking talk radio to another level. Join Dr. Herbert Gale on Mondays and Tuesdays and Simon Croskell from Wednesday to Friday as they provide riveting analysis on the issues of the day and speak with stakeholders charged with driving innovation to move Jamaica forward. Tune in for innovative features designed to showcase local developments and highlight how the global issues of the 21st century are being addressed. That's the powerful pair, Dr. Herbert Gale and Simon Croskill on Power Talk, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays, right here on Power 106 FM.
At Christmas Day. We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day. So run and come to see and sun, it's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. The beaches are nice, much nicer than ice. The rum is still fine, and so is the wine. So run and come to see and sun, it's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. So come one and all, and let's have a ball. Jamaicans you see, at Christmas not free. So run and come to see and sun, it's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. Run and come to see and sun, it's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day. So run and come to see and stand. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. The beaches are nice, much nicer than ice. The rum is still fine, and so is the wine. So run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. So come one and all, and let's have a ball. Jamaicans, you see, at Christmas love free. So run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. Run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. No one sleep, you'll never meet at Christmas Day. We don't have no snow, we don't have no sleigh, but fun we do have at Christmas Day. So run and come to see and sun. It's Christmas Day. Snow and sleet you'll never meet at Christmas Day. The beaches are nice, much nicer than ice. The rum is still fine, and so is the wine. So run and come.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5:08. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5:08. 现在地点了5:08. 8 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Just changed. It's 7 minutes to 5 o'clock now. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Let's continue with more. In fact, there's a bit of history we wanted to share with you, especially in this time of COVID-19. Let's take you back to, let's go back to the year beg your pardon, 18. Well, first of all, let's go to 1893 to tell the story. 1893, the great Dr. Cicely Delphine Williams was born on this day in 1893 at Kew Park, Enfield, near Betheltown, in the hills of Westmoreland. Dr. Cicely Williams is most famous for describing the condition of severe malnutrition of infants and young children resulting from dietary deficiency of protein. She announced to the world that the problem was protein-calorie malnutrition, and she named the disease kwashiorkor, the African, that's Kwashiorkor, Hiorkor. Kwashiorkor, the African term used to characterize the illness. It was one of the greatest discoveries in the 20th century. This is a Jamaican woman we're talking about, Dr. Cicely Delphine Williams, born on this day in 1893 at Kew Park, Enfield, near Betheltown, in the hills of Westmoreland. She, as we said, it was one of the greatest discoveries in the 20th century. It has saved the lives of countless numbers of children and has been of tremendous significance for the poorer countries. Dr. Cicely Williams was the first woman to be appointed by the British Colonial Medical Service to be sent to the Gold Coast, now known as Ghana. Dr. Williams was the first foreigner to receive the Joseph Goldberg Award of the American Medical Association. She was the first to receive the Order of Merit and the first woman to receive the Ceres Medal, an honor bestowed by the World Health Organization, WHO, for service of the highest order to mankind. She was able to use the same knowledge of protein deficiency to treat her fellow prisoners and so to keep the death rate much lower than in other camps. When she was released, badly malnourished, she returned to Jamaica in 1946 to recover from the effects of her imprisonment, and very soon became involved in other pioneering work. She was appointed a member of a team that was looking for a cure for vomiting sickness caused by ackee poisoning. The great Dr. Cicely Williams served in 58 countries in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Thursday, the 2nd of December, 2021. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5, live from the Long Island Marriott Hotel, located on Doolittle, well, it's in Uniondale, in New York. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
These little town blues are melting away. I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. New York, New York, I want to wake up in a city that never sleeps and find I'm a number one, top of the list, king of the hill, a number one. These little towns, oh, melting away. I'm gonna make a brand new start of it in old New York. And if I can make it there, I'm gonna make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York, New York.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible.
Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's News at 5.
Good afternoon, I am Dervan Gordon. Coming up in the news segment of Beyond the Headlines, today, Thursday, December 2, 2021, Office of the DPP to file first appeal in a criminal case. Several suspects in murders and shootings in the Kingston West Police Division arrested. Curfew in the area extended for 48 hours. 3 men charged in connection with a $1 billion cocaine seizure off the coast of St. Elizabeth off of Maine. More cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 surface in the U.S. In business news, Blue Power Group reports increased profit. The news on Radio Jamaica 94 FM and online at radiojamaica94fm.com. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, is to file its first appeal in a criminal case after a man who pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder was today sentenced to 12 years imprisonment. During today's court proceedings, the prosecutor indicated that the sentence would shock the public's conscience given the nature of the offenses. This appeal will be the first since the Judicature Appellate Jurisdiction Amendment Act, giving the Office of the DPP the right of appeal, was passed in November. Details from Janella Precious.
The accused man, Lindell Powell, also called Lazarus, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder when he appeared in the Westmoreland Circuit Court on November 17 for his involvement in the January 2017 murder of Oral McIntosh and the killing of Ida Clark 2 months later. The matter was transferred to the Hanover Circuit Court for sentencing before Justice Bertram Morrison today. Powell's attorney indicated to the court that her client was forced to participate in criminal activities out of fear, adding that the government and society had failed the accused. However, Justice Morrison told the accused that although he was only 18 when he committed the crimes, he was still an adult. He also said murder has become a way of life for certain sections of society who show no conscience for fellow humans. Justice Morrison then sentenced Powell to 12 years imprisonment at hard labor and said he must serve 10 years imprisonment before parole on each count. The sentences will run at the same time, and Powell will therefore serve only 10 years in all. After the matter was disposed of, the prosecutor returned and indicated that she spoke with Director of Public Prosecutions, who directed that the court should be put on notice that the Crown will be appealing the sentence. DPP Paula Llewellyn told Radio Jamaica News that the sentence is not enough.
As far as we are concerned, the sentence was unduly lenient and it was inadequate when one considers the circumstances of both cases and, of course, the precedents in terms of cases that have gone before that have outlined the basic sentencing range for such matters.
Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn. The Crown had recommended a sentence of life imprisonment with eligibility for parole after 21 years for each count. The office of the DPP notes that the accused had 2 previous convictions for illegal possession of a firearm and illegal possession of ammunition, for which he was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment at hard labor. Janella Precious, Radio Jamaica News.
There has been another deadly attack in Montego Bay, St. James. The latest victim is Christopher Carr, a bee farmer of Cambridge in the parish. About 12:30 p.m. yesterday, Mr. Carr was sitting in his vehicle on Roehampton Road in Anchovy when gunmen traveling in a car shot him several times. The police intercepted the getaway vehicle on the Berg Main Road, and this led to a shootout. The gunmen abandoned the vehicle and escaped. A number of suspects in murders and shootings in the Kingston West Police Division have been arrested since the imposition of a curfew on Monday. Head of the Kingston West Police, Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, told Radio Jamaica News that 8 individuals were picked up for questioning. The curfew has been extended for 48 hours. It was imposed in the communities of Zimbabwe, Mexico, and Angola as part of measures to quell gang violence. Kingston West was one of 7 police divisions where states of emergency expired on Saturday. The 3 men who were charged in connection with last month's billion-dollar cocaine seizure off the coast of St. Elizabeth were offered bail when they appeared in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court this morning. 40-year-old Daniel Hansen of the St. Elizabeth address and 31-year-old Jason Wedderburn and 36-year-old Elvis Johnson, who are from Westmoreland, were each offered bail in the sum of $1 million with surety. As a condition of their bail, they are to return to court twice weekly and surrender their travel documents. Stop orders were placed on them. The men are scheduled to return to court March 3. On November 22, members of the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard were on an anti-narcotics operation southwest of Black River when they intercepted a boat with the 3 men on board. The boat was searched and bags containing 2,000 pounds of cocaine allegedly found. The cocaine was valued at $46 million. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, has approved the phased payment of more than $200 million in compensation to thousands of Jamaica Public Service Company JPS customers for breaches of guaranteed standards. The breaches were committed between March 2020 and September this year. This follows the decision by Energy Minister Dervan to deny the JPS's request for a whole-scale suspension of the guaranteed standards. Details from Prince Moore.
The JPS made the request on the basis that the continuing adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic presented force majeure conditions and warranted it being excused from compliance with guaranteed and overall standards under its electricity license. Force majeure is a common clause in contracts which essentially frees both parties from liability or obligation when an extraordinary event or circumstance such as an epidemic occurs. A statement from the OUR says the Energy Minister communicated his final decision to the JPS in a letter dated October 7. As a result of the Minister's decision, the JPS is mandated to pay $220.9 million to affected customers for breaches committed. The JPS, in its letter to the OUR seeking approval for a payment schedule, cited cash flow issues exacerbated by the pandemic. The OUR approved the payment schedule starting next month and continuing until April next year. In addition, the JPS resumed monthly payment in November to affected customers for breaches committed in October. All payments are applied as credits to bills. Prince Moore, Radio Jamaica News.
Public health specialist Professor Peter Figueroa says imposing COVID-19 related travel bans alone will not prevent the spread of the Omicron variant to Jamaica. On Saturday, the government imposed travel restrictions on passengers from 8 southern African countries due to the new variant. Since then, the variant has been reported in more than 20 countries, leading to criticism that travel bans are being imposed inconsistently. Professor Figueroa says the travel bans will not make much of a difference.
South Africa has an excellent surveillance system, and they identified it before Europe, the United States, or the UK. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't circulating in Europe and other countries before. So I don't think the travel ban for